The Order of the Knights Hospitaller are not a legitimate Catholic military order. Basically, the Teutonic Knights accused the Templars in secret, blindsided them with an accusation of Baphomet worship, which most of us today still have not heard of, let alone at the time it wouldn't have been on our list. So instead of calling them heretics to their faces, they instigated the Hospitaller uprising. The Teutonic Knights made off with the goods. The Templars withdrew and left a Hospitaller peasant rebellion milling around in a zombie apocalypse. And they stay in charge just by accusing us of heresy, if it means they have to quantify it themselves, like it happened when I wasn't there. So they're ready to kill me for something I didn't even know about, and then I look into it and they're like, it's water under the bridge. Like, how can you possibly even know what I'm talking about if you weren't involved? Roe v. Wade canceled the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm, or you're not a doctor in any religion, hospital or no hospital. It's the definition. You can't just change it and pretend democracy still means the same thing. Democracy was invented by doctors. And they're like, duh, duh, duh. Because they don't get to stay in charge if we're not the retards. Therefore, you're not allowed to do anything. Like, you can't report crimes against the state unless they're allowed to handle it. The idea being that we are unfit for self-determination. And when you get into a racket like that, the messenger of Allah is liable to catch wind of it. It might leak, and then you get smoked, and nobody has any way of knowing. He'll just off you in secret because you already dwell in secret. A bunch of pushy, clandestine child molesters acting like it has to be that guy. And most of them did not rape me at all. It's a major break. It's a systemic breakdown where you act like you all raped me because I'm the bad guy. So people who deceive the public and the government with false witness and phony surveillance were witnessed to falsely with phony surveillance, and they act like there's nothing they can do about it because no, we can't change it. They're just gonna have to wait for Jesus to come back, fix it himself. Well, I don't know if you've read the Bible or had it read to you, or you've just been told it was fake. Somebody told you it was bad, and you're okay with that because you don't read a lot anyway. But if Jesus comes back, it's not supposed to be another forgiveness tour. It's not because he appreciates how bad you have messed up. He brings an army of the heavenly host of his own. The problem is, it's the year of our Lord 2026, and the law is still delivered in Latin because only one man has ever been born perfect, and we do not anticipate a repeat performance because it was a miracle. That's where the whole religion comes from. There's a miracle, and we believe it happened. And now the New Testament has authority. Were it not for that miracle, anybody can whip up a zombie apocalypse from the desert. You're just never Christian enough for the guys that raped 84,000 Boy Scouts. And you might say that the Supreme Court doesn't deserve the opportunity to establish precedent to prosecute the people breaking into the DEA through casino control by raping our kids. But did you rape a Boy Scout? Is the question. Like, I'm not allowed to talk to Washington because you raped a Boy Scout? But we're the crazy ones? Using an illegal telecom hack on the other side of the Somalian conflict called Y2K, and the third world gets wind of it, it leaks, and they're like, rape faster! So they called the Templars Baphomet worshippers because they appeared barbaric. Muslim shish kebab forest. But first, do no harm, or you're not a doctor. And then some people just don't take no for an answer. But we're not just gonna ban shotgun weddings, legalize recreational abortions, rape 84,000 Boy Scouts for Jesus, cancel IQ testing, ban waterboarding, and follow the army around raping Muslims to teach them a lesson. Real Catholics invented the rape here, because we'll show you how we rape around here. First, do no harm, you're not a doctor. Catholicism is the only perfect religion, because the Vatican will never forgive virgin sacrifice. Therefore, as long as the victims are not represented, we can presume that forgiveness is insincere. Slashed open with a box cutter. See, Vatican City. I have a relic from the Holy Catacombs blessed by Pope Francis. So what they do is they rape little boys and they spy on them. I'm not saying this is the hospitality, I'm just saying. But the child molesting communist wizards rape little boys and spy on them, and you're like, oh, that's the ugliest beer box ever. Because we come from a culture where the women in bikinis sell beer. So they let the third world pick a fight between America and England, like we can't afford water. And they're like, oh, the Pope has to sell beer. So they put the Pope on a beer box, and they go back and say, oh, he's ugly. But if you're operating in like a modern Western context, it was kind of funny. Like the old Coors Light commercials with the beach volleyball, and then there's the Pope playing. So they send the abomination to Rome to strong-arm Benedictus and come back like, oh, you've done it bad, because we're with you. They're not with me. And why would London and Washington be in conflict over any body of water other than that which we share? If not for the last King of Scotland, because mitochondrial Eve proves the Bible's wrong, the Pope's a liar, and the Muslims are our rightful owners all along, like they were saying. The Hospitaller modus operandi is practically indistinguishable from Islam to the untrained eye. But you can't knock down 3 towers that size with 2 planes that size, let alone pay for it. Why would we be negotiating? You're negotiating with Sir Isaac Newton. Good luck with that. And if your whole business model is liquidating Europeans to keep ahead of the heathen horde, how many of us you think you have to kill before Gandhi runs out? So first, I have drafted guidelines for the objective identification of unconstitutional state media activity on the land, because nobody ever raped an unconscious 6-year-old boy into a free press news team. We prosecute violent crimes against small children, and we have to line you up on your knees and shoot you on TV. Otherwise, it can't be argued that this is a free country. And if it's not a free country, why wouldn't we? We're just not represented. The gay mafia made some Turkmen shoot John Paul II, and they're like, and we'll do it again. John Paul II and Reagan, so they wouldn't get lippy about flooding our streets with dope and forcing the Christians to fight our way out with nothing but snake oil and rainbows, because mitochondrial Eve proves that the last King of Scotland from Uganda owns all the little blonde kids and anyone matching the description. You're in a big hurry to sell your own head just to stay in charge of losing. Our dear, sweet, innocent judges slitting each other's throats for forgiveness from cannibal warlord Jesus since Vietnam. So the news is like, all right, that's it. The gloves are off. We're going corporate. From now on, there are no nations. There is only one holistic system of systems. Gah! And they get offed. If God really sent you, there's no need for a bunch of sneaking around. If the sanctuary is desecrated, the soil must be consecrated, or it is desecrated by your presence. If I kick the doors to your heretical temple off the hinges, of course it's forgiven, it's mine now. Of course it's forgiven if I keep stepping on your skull until it is, and laughing, great big heaving belly laughs, ha ha ha, they don't like it. And that's where Protestantism comes from. Germany was a long way from Rome, back when you had to go around the Alps before the internet, susceptible to exploitation by Viking wizards in a dress. The peasants don't like this at all. And what do you mean we're at it though? I guess we're gonna have to sell some of these peasants. Oh yeah, but that guy's in charge. He's like, do whatever they say. They're crazy. If the sanctuary is desecrated, the soil must be consecrated. We usually do that in court. Otherwise, you end up with a bunch of jingle heads swearing they saw something that happened when you weren't there, and then when you look into it, they act like it's forgiven. Anybody swearing they saw me hit a girl, kill a dog, and run away is a liar. Like the lawyer had to take me for 5 consultations at $100 a pop. And money changing hands is consummation. It's consecrated. That definitely really happened in the eyes of God. So you're not him. There was no arrangement. We were talking about 10 years ago. Oh, you thought it was supposed to be that guy. So you were in on it. Not only do you know there was no arrangement, but it was your fault. These things really did happen when I was not there. Innocent people have suffered needlessly, and it could have been entirely avoidable if you weren't already involved. I've been trying to reach the CIA through official channels for 10 years since first awareness of juris, meaning their business and not yours. Like, the Vatican does not assert that authority. The Pope is the final ecclesiastical authority in this world. Okay, this is Florida, not Rome. Who's telling the CIA they're not allowed? Did they know? Not allowed, Washington. So the object is not to sell all these hapless Caucasians just because some idiot wizard thinks he can pretend he owns them and blame the Pope. We want the Protestants to convert. The Protestants want us to convert, which is kind of antithetical. Like the church is already a protest against flat Earth. Why you would protest the protest? You're protesting your own church, your birthright. Make love, not war. The Muslims are pretending you're negotiating. How are you gonna pay for that? First, I shall do no harm, and then my Templars are gonna run a spike through your perineum and out through your lower mandible and leave you dangling there like a Muslim shish kebab forest. Or there's the Supreme Court. Sultan Mehmet riding up on his own army, dangling on a bunch of, impaled on a bunch of spikes. And most of them are dead. It reeks. There's so many of them, it blocks out the sun. Some of them are still alive. If you do it right, making gurgling noises and wiggling around. But we prosecute violent crimes against small children, and we have to line you up on your knees and shoot you on TV. Otherwise, it can't be argued that it's a free country, and if it's not a free country, we're allowed. It's a self-resolving problem. We're just not represented. I have never forged ink on paper. So under a mistaken impression, I was obligated to forgive that sort of thing. These idiot wizards sold Wachovia National Bank and negotiated after the fact via unsecured channels and in language unrecognized by the Crown as legally binding. The only argument is that mitochondrial Eve is using Hanoi Jane as a human shield for the Cuban Missile Crisis, like Christianity means hold still while we eat you or we're going to blow it all up. Well, not if we blow it all up first. We're just not represented.